All right, hello and welcome to Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast sponsored by Draftkings Sportsbook. And we are announcing today, more later in the show, but we are the official partner of All Access GTE, golf travel company, who we've had Ryan Gano on many times. We'll talk more about those guys and what they do. But we'd like to welcome in our special guest, Robert Damron. You may have seen him on PGA Tour Live carrying the coach because the coach needs it. Let's face it. Maybe burying a Diet Coke can in the rough, following around Rory and Spieth. Welcome to Swing It and Ding It, man. Thank you.
Thanks very much. My pleasure.
Absolutely.
Good to have you.
So, we'll get into it all, right? We'll talk about, how you started and your history and all that. But let's just start now with what you're doing and how much it seems like you really enjoy being out there on the course, being in the action, following these guys around and giving that firsthand, feedback to the audience about what these guys are going through.
It is absolutely my favorite part of what I do is being on course. And people say, like, is that what you prefer, on course or in studio? In studio has air conditioning. And I don't like getting out there in the heat and trudging around the golf course if I don't have to. But you're right. I'm much more myself, looking at a lie, feeling the wind, looking at a putt and saying, this scares me, or this looks easy to me, or this is manageable, or this probably isn't manageable, the risk rewards of it all. That's kind of where, all my studying has been since I was a kid to even barely. I don't play much now, but even now. So no, I'm much more comfortable on the course. It's easier to get in the flow of things. Although, yeah, I don't look forward to some of the ones I'm going to do this summer because it's just yeah.
I was just going to say there isn't a course on tour that you know better than where we were last week at Bay Hill. So every nook and cranny of that place and every break on every green. But when you go to a place that you don't know so well, how much studying do you do out there? Do you walk the course on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and sort of try to get a feel for it?
No, not really. Not really. There are many courses I haven't played out on tour. Let's be honest, and I will do a little extra when I get there. But you've got a good yardage book, and if you're on course, it's really shot by shot. Okay, you got to know the tee shots and the subtleties of this, and maybe some places that are X. Okay, don't miss this left, don't miss this right. But I'd be silly if I thought I could go out on Tuesday and Wednesday and learn every one of those little subtleties at the golf course. So honestly, when I'm in studio, I do more of that studying, more looking at the yardage book. So when somebody says 15th hole, I can kind of either get to it really quickly or have some kind of memory of it. But, when you're on course, you're calling one shot at a time. So, what's going to happen on 15 doesn't mean a whole lot to me. So if I don't really know the course all that well, I'm trying to think of the last one I called that I hadn't played before. Maybe Medina a few years ago when JT and Cantley went down the stretch, where I'm just not ultra comfortable with it. But I'm also not a guy that, I don't get embarrassed that easily. And I'll say, I don't know. Hey, what about 16? Hey, which hole is 16 again? I haven't been here in a while. And I'll get back out. So, yeah, it's fine. If I look silly, I look silly. That's all right.
Yeah, you got to humanize yourself, keep it real. And I think the fans kind of like that even more. What do you think right now with the changes that we've seen on some of the broadcasts, like the Friday happy hour or Smiley on certain holes? So what's your thoughts on that?
I like that they're changing it up. I don't like the old plain vanilla anymore. I think it's time in the era of the Manning cast kind of thing and the era of sports gambling in our sport as well as every other sport. You have to be a little different. And golf spectators, golf fans, we think of old men sitting in their living room. That's why there's so many Viagra commercials and that kind of commercials on a golf broadcast, because that's who they're talking to. But we also want to have another way to bring in people that like a little irreverence, maybe like a little silliness, because they don't hold golf so in such high regard as those other people. So to bring those other people in, I wouldn't mind to see a second broadcast, a third broadcast, something a little more off the rails at times. So we're doing that slowly but surely, with ESPN Plus and PGA Tour Live. There's 4 streams. There's 4 different personalities at analyst And so you can kind of get a little bit of that. But the networks, I think, are going to catch up a little slower, but they are catching up with a couple of things, like you said, like with Smiley on course last week.
Yeah, and I've heard it even over the past couple of years with Coach, with yourself, just being more loose, right? Being more conversational, what people want. We talked about it on the show a couple of weeks ago about, having that Pat McAfee type would be great for the game of golf. And maybe Kevin Kistner is going to become that, because I think he definitely has the personality, but he's going to have to let it loose as much as he can.
He's returning again this week.
Yeah, he is. And he hasn't – I read, and maybe you guys know more than I do, I read he's been offered – full time. I don't know if that's true or not, but he hasn't announced that he's retiring from playing yet either. Right. So I don't see that happening. I know he's been struggling lately, but I don't see that happening. But I would enjoy hearing Kisner. I think he would do very good, as opposed to the billion other I could name that I think would stink.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Let's get to the golf now, because what we saw, or what we've seen thus far this year, is a lot of long shots. Winning tournaments. We had an amateur win a tournament, a couple guys 100, 200, 300 to 1, winning. Now, I know Hideki came in there, and he's not a long shot. Neither is Wyndham Clark, but they weren't exactly 20 to 1 either, But last week, the cream rose to the top, and everybody was talking about how the PGA Tour really needed one of those guys. And, they got their guy, to rise to the top and win. What are we watching right now when it comes to the ball striking with Scotty Scheffler? It's just so amazing.
Amazing is not the word. And my vocabulary isn't big enough to tell you how good it is. I watched him with my own two eyes on course, PGA Tour Live at Colonial last year, and then the next week at Muirfield Village. There might have been a week in between. It doesn't matter. He missed a playoff in both of those tournaments by one shot and putted like hot garbage, like disgusting how bad some of the putts that he hit were. I've never seen anybody hit it like this in my life. I've seen people, all of us, any good golfer, really, truly good golfer, has gone out where everything went lights out and you just stuffed it all day long and you hit it great off the tee, and it happens. No one ever comes back and does it again the next day. Scotty comes back and does it every damn day. And at Muirfield Village, I just was in awe. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, how he was decimating the golf course and missing every 4 and 5 footer that could possibly be. I've said it on air. It's sacrilege to a lot of our people who, traditionalists and who love the sport. Scheffler hits it as good as Ben Hogan. I didn't see Ben Hogan hit a golf ball in my life. There's no way he hit it any better or straighter, or especially given the distance. Scheffler's hitting it so far. To rein it in that much and to control the distance that well is just not done, not since Tiger. But yeah, if Hogan hits it better, I would like to see it.
I feel bad for all the golf teachers out there, right? Because they had to deal with everyone trying to hit it long and distance, and now people are going to be like Fred Astaire out there tap dancing on the in the tee box. How are they going to teach this stuff? I don't know.
How in hindsight, what kind of genius is Randy Smith, who got this kid swinging like that? Every coach in the world would have said, son, we got to fix your footwork. And Randy says, let it go. So, good for him. That's incredible.
And his short game is amazing too. I mean, around the greens, he's just a wizard with a wedge.
No question. And so usually short game is a category, chipping and putting. And usually, like you think of Faxon or a Crenshaw, they're great both. They're great chippers. They're great putters. I can only think of Vijay Singh, who was a great pitcher and chipper and really didn't like putting. And Scotty's that way also. Scotty is maybe we saw something this last week that's going to change this whole sport. And no one's ever going to win again if he puts. So, maybe it's one off, maybe not. But Scotty, you're exactly right. Unbelievable around the greens, great out of the bunkers, just doesn't like the chip or the putting very much.
Now, comparing Scotty and to Ben Hogan, saying you've never seen Ben Hogan hit a shot. You did play in the era where you've seen Tiger hit tons and tons of shots. Give us a good Tiger story.
Well, to compare Tiger to Scotty, I know Tiger was one of the best iron players of all time as well. And I played with Tiger quite a few times, prime, Tiger Woods time. And he wasn't as sexy with his iron play as Scotty is, meaning he was much, I don't want to say smarter, but much more economical. He played chess. He hit to this part of the green, that part of the green. Scotty just hits it this close, and then he does it again the next hole. He's a lot more aggressive. So it's more catching to the eye, you know, I think, to watch Scotty do it. But man, Tiger Woods stories. I was at Isleworth, a member there when he was there, you know, during all the scandals and some of the craziest stuff you've ever seen. That was kind of cool to be part of it. I got to talk to him a lot when he was hidden away from the world and practice with him a lot. And that was pretty cool because he was as human as he's ever been in his life. He was broken down, you know, tough. You felt bad for him, which is how you feel bad for Tiger Woods. But, you know, and he put himself in that position, but it took a while to kind of gain it back and feel better about himself. And it was kind of an interesting time for me to kind of watch that and watch him kind of emerge back as a great player again after all that mess.
Well, let's talk about your golf journey. That's the phrase we like to say on this podcast. 3-time All-American at UCF. Had a win at the 2001 Byron Nelson at the tournament that's coming up. I believe you played in it 10 times in the Players.
The T3.
I did, 10 Players Championships.
Yeah. So talk about, like, you know, starting out, what got you into the game, what has kept you in the game for this long?
Well, Arnold Palmer Invitational got me into the game. I moved to Bay Hill when I was 6. We moved here because my dad used to play golf with Arnold Palmer a lot, and he was driving over here we used to live at Greenleaf in Winter Haven in the winter times because we did Snowbird, and I'm from Eastern Kentucky, but that wasn't a great place to play golf in the winter. So Dad finally goes, why am I driving back and forth to these gambling games? I'm just going to buy a place out there. And that's when we moved. I was 6. My younger brother, who's a great player, was just born, I think. And so I remember the fence going up and the what little stands there were now or then compared to now, but the stands going up and going out and watching these players on the range and watching them on the course as a kid. And I never thought ever that I wanted to do anything other than to be a professional golfer. So that Arnold Palmer Invitational is 100% the reason I wanted to be a pro golfer. And it's the most nervous I've ever been in my life the first time I teed off in it in 97. Wow. So since 79 to now, I've never missed one. I've been out every single time. I still love it.
Wow.
Every time. Cool. So, and then, you know, playing a lot here. The reason I went to Central Florida, UCF, wasn't because it was a great golf school at the time. It was close to Bay Hill, and it was close to where I was playing and who I was playing against and a lot of the gambling. And I just loved getting up and going every day. So, yeah, I didn't want to leave too far away. How
much has that school changed since you've been there? I mean, that place is blown up.
Well, I was barely there when I was there. But yes, I think attendance is quadrupled since I was there, something like that. It's insane.
I think I'm taking my daughter to see it in a couple of weeks. We're going to see the University of Florida and UCF because she's done with these Northeast winters, and I can't blame her. I'm done too.
I remember graduating from Temple, and then I moved to Orlando to work for the Magic, and I went to cover a UCF Temple game. I was like, hey, they're in town. I'm going to go watch it. I went there. I'm like, wait, there's campuses like this exist? And I went to North Philadelphia.
I did a couple games at the Bounce House. That place is insane, man, that football stadium.
Oh, yeah.
For a night game, it's great. Now, you said you were never as nervous as teeing it up for the first time at the API. More nervous than playing in a playoff to win your first tournament at the Byron Nelson, and then I think you were in a playoff a year or two later where you finished runner-up, right?
Yeah, that sucked. But no, you're not nervous. It's hard to explain. You're not really that nervous in the playoff or down the last few holes because you're in your own world and you're in control. You're playing very well, you know, and you played well for this whole tournament. It's not just, oh, I found something that might last another hole or two or three. So you like watching people, you know, friends do things makes me more nervous than when I was doing it myself. It's strange to say. You'd have to be kind of involved in it yourself. Now you get butterflies a little and you're elevated adrenaline wise, but not the bad. So I've always said there's kind of two types of nerves. There's the nerves that kind of bring your focus in and elevate you a little bit. And then there's the nerves like, oh my God, where's the nearest bathroom? I'm about to die. What is going on here? And yeah, I've had both kinds, but that when you're playing well and it's late to tournament, you feel that more elevated kind. You might get the stray bad thought. I wasn't always the most positive guy. I wish I were, but yeah, they were easy to shake off. And honestly, you mentioned the second playoff, that stray bad thought's what got me there. I had a 4-footer. I remember thinking to extend the playoff, it wasn't to win. And I remember thinking, what if I missed it? Like as I'm standing over it, and bam, missed it. Yeah. That's called choking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still get nerves or butterflies when you're playing now, and any Champions Tour events on the calendar marked?
I was curious. So I haven't played. I retired when I was 40 and I retired. That was it. I didn't practice. I didn't play. I went to the golf course to play cards and hang out. So when I got closer to 50, I knew that I was going to be exempt into the Senior British Open. So I started practicing and playing more and trying to just, my goal was don't finish last. Don't embarrass yourself, you know? And I got to where I thought I was playing pretty well. And that question was the big question. What am I going to feel like on the first tee? I could, you know, I could feel okay like I do now, or I could, well, pardon the, I could make 2 pounds of brown on the first tee. I mean, it might have been really bad. I just don't know. And the night before, there's no way that anything as bad was going to happen as what I was imagining in my head that night before I could sleep. So like if a tiger came out and mauled me to death on the first tee, my thoughts were probably worse than that. So, but once I finally got there, I was a little nervous, but not too bad. It was okay. And by the time I got to my tee shot where I was in a bunker and had to pitch out sideways, I was fine.
Return back to normal.
Yeah. Interesting. So if we talk about the state of professional golf today, obviously Jay Monahan came out and he really, you know, laid it all out there. I'm kidding. He said absolutely nothing.
I figured.
But, you know, first of all, did you see any of this coming at all? Right? There had been rumors of this different tour. And then where do you think this thing is going to go? If you had the crystal ball, you've been in this game for a long time and have known some really impactful people. Where the heck do you think this thing could possibly go?
Well, first off, no, I didn't think it was going to happen. Up until Dustin Johnson signed, I'm like, can we stop talking about this? No one's going to leave the PGA Tour. This is what everybody dreamed of. No one's going to – the guys that are worth leaving are already worth so much money. What's a little extra going to do for them? And I never really thought –
Did you have experiences with Norman when you were playing and like, you know?
Yeah. So Norman, when I was a kid, was a Bay Hill member. And I got 97 my rookie year. I got paired with him. He was friends with my dad then too. On the final 2 rounds, I was leading actually in Memphis the last 2 rounds, and we played together. And my dad was even following, and I would say like, Greg, Dad's out here, and he would just walk faster, walk away. He was an asshole. I didn't like playing with him in the least. I was a fan before we teed off and not a fan after. But I you know, he's obviously doing what he said he would do, which shocks me. It shocks me. I didn't think this was going to happen. I thought Phil Mickelson was full of it, and I thought that Norman was full of it before it kicked in. Here we are. Yeah. Sure enough, it is. And you asked what's going to happen in the future. Yeah. I don't know, but I'm scared. I'm scared because their stack is so immense. They could close the tour down almost if they just keep taking big players away. You know, eventually the sponsors won't pay if they don't get any name recognition to, you know, to these big tour events, and our purses would have to go way back down. So now, no one that I know, I'm sure there's some. I see the occasional Twitter people that are like, oh, this live is where it's all at. I don't see the fans. I don't see the ratings on TV. I don't see them when I see it on TV, and I've watched very little of it. But the names that are out there are huge names, and they are great golfers. And I can't imagine it'll stay down forever. And again, when it's going head to head like this, and if we're playing head to head poker and your stack is this big and my stack is this big, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially with last week and now what we have this week, it's just a shame that some of those guys, you know who they are, you know, DeChambeau, Koepka, Cam Smith, John Rahm aren't there, DJ aren't there to play, you know, in these biggest of tournaments. So let's go to TPC Sawgrass, because you had some success there, a T3 back. What was that in 2000? Was that the House Sutton be the right club today? Oh, it's awesome. Wow. But tell us about that golf course and what it takes to win out there, or what it takes to play well.
I love the golf course. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I think you've got to be very, very precise with pretty much across the board. It is a very accepting golf course if you hit the right shot. It's in front of you. The fairways aren't particularly narrow. It's not particularly long. The greens are sectioned off, which actually gives you, like, if you had to hit a shot close, you don't just aim at the pin. You can kind of aim at a bank and use the slopes to bring it in close to almost every hole location. And there's a way, if you're just smart and hit the shot you want, to give yourself 18 really good looks at birdie. But if you miss that spot by a little, it will kick your butt. It will wear you out and keep wearing you out. So it's there, but the way it's designed is just, it's such a great test of who's hitting it and chipping it really good and who's kind of faking it. And it does a really good job of weeding them out. But, you know, again, my memory of playing well there, Hal and Tiger were way ahead. So, like, walking over to 17, there's no way I'm going to win the tournament. I think they were 5 ahead of us. But, boy, I could have blown a lot of cash on 17. And that was nervous. Like, your last look up, that green or your target went from, you know, the size of the green to just nothing.
Did you stick it? Did you stick it?
No, I didn't stick it. I hit it on the front. I hit it on Thursday's pin.
Dry.
Dry. Yes. But it's such a good golf hole, and I think the reason it's great. And my analogy is, like, if it's an easy hole. It really is. There's nothing to it when you're playing in the practice round. Mm-hmm. Just like if I laid a plank across the ground and said, walk across it, no big deal. When I raise it 100 feet in the air and say, walk across that plank, it is terrifying.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens at 17. It goes from easy to, like, holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
How am I going to do this?
And then you got that tee shot on 18.
Yeah, that's even next. At least you got room right. You could bogey. You could bogey. If you had to bogey 18, you could bogey it all day.
Put it in a pine straw.
Right. Go right, chip it on. If you had to bogey 17, you might make a 10. I mean,
well, this has been amazing. So many cool stories. We could chat all day. Before we let you go, though, there's one question that we always ask, being a Philly-based podcast. What is your favorite course within the Philadelphia region?
Never played within the Philadelphia region.
Never.
Gosh, wow.
No. I had
no Pine Valley, no Marion, no
Pine Valley.
Oh man.
I've walked Aronimink. That was cool.
Aronimink.
It's a cool old course. I could see where it might have been at that time a little outdated because the fairway bunkering was here and everybody is carrying it way past. But the greens are so severe, it was unbelievable. Shoot.
Cricket
it just
club.
sounds like we need to get you out.
Central Florida golfer here.
What was the course that we used to play the Pennsylvania Open, and it wasn't too far? It was Chris DeMarco. Waynesboro. How close is that to Philadelphia?
That's 20 minutes from me.
We'll count it.
Yeah.
All right.
No Marion, no Pine Valley, no Philly.
Never played Pine Valley. Never played Marion. I got a buddy that's a member at Pine Valley. I keep waiting. Pine Valley. I've played so much golf in my life that I don't. Like, a guy's trip to a golf course doesn't sound that great to me. I would go to Pine Valley right now if I got Pine Valley, the Long Island courses, Shinnecock, and those kind of courses. I've never played those. I would go there in a minute, but there aren't many places I would go.
There's a lot of good stuff in North Jersey too. A lot of old stuff in North
I played Baltusrol. Does that count?
Yeah, absolutely.
Love Baltusrol.
Ridgewood.
No, never played Ridgewood.
We had a gentleman named Jimmy James on last week. He's an author of a book called Playing from the Rough, a personal journey through America's 100 greatest golf courses. And it was awesome to talk to him. And he put Marion in his top 5. But he said when you take the Philadelphia area courses and then Long Island area courses, he said pound for pound, it'd be really tough to beat those grouping of courses anywhere in the world, anywhere in the country. Yeah.
He had lazy parents because they named him the same first and last name.
Well, Robert, I got to ask you, and I know you tell stories about Arnold all the time, but what is your go-to? What's your favorite story for our audience?
Well, my go-to is it may have impacted and may have started in my entire career. So I did get through Q school when there's Q school now, but the old traditional Q school, 1996. The first tournament was the Bob Hope, and now American Express. And Arnold Palmer's a big deal everywhere, let's face it. Yeah. But in Palm Springs, he's double big deal. I mean, this is like he was huge there. So
it's like Sinatra,
right? Exactly. Yeah. Dinah Shore. So I wasn't going to get in on my number because it's first term of the year, and I go, Mr. Palmer, you think you could make a call for me, see about these exemptions? And he did. And he goes, there's another guy that needs this last spot. And his dad has played the tournament forever. He's out there. Brent Geiberger's who it was. His dad, Al Geiberger. And I'm okay. I understand. And the next day, I'm playing Bay Hill, and I'm in the group behind Mr. Palmer. So the third hole, I hit the green. I walk up. I go to take the flagstick out, and there's a 3x5 card in the hole, and it says, "Robert, you're in the Hope. Call Mike Milthorpe." And it gave me a note.
That's so cool.
Mike Milthorpe was the tournament director. So he had gotten the call on the course. This is before cell phones. I mean, it was like those clunky big brick things that he got. And so he got me in the Hope. I finished 16th. I made enough to where the first reshuffle, I was last man in the field at Doral, finished 5th. And 10 years after that, I'm still playing on tour. So that was maybe the one break, the first tournament I played, and that check I made set me up for my entire career. And that was all because Mr. Palmer. I still have that note, by the way.
I was just going to ask, you have to still have that note.
It's in a photo album at home. Absolutely. I looked at it 2 days ago.
Did they play 5 rounds back then at that event?
At Hope?
Yeah.
Yes.
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 I remember it used to be
Hope,
5 rounds.
Vegas.
Yeah.
We're both 5 rounds there. I feel like there's another one, but yeah, Hope and Vegas are definitely 5 rounds.
Tremendous. Wow. Well, listen, we really appreciate the time. Make sure you're following at Robert D. Damron on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you're following on. I love PGA Tour Live. I'd rather listen to PGA Tour Live guys than some of the other guys, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Coach is our boy. He's been on multiple times. He is the best. We got to get him back on soon, but love what you do out on the course too. And we really appreciate some time, man. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
All right,
Robert.
we'll be right back. Full DraftKings read. So because it's new copy.
Don't mess up. Don't mess up.
And I'm going to do an all access read too.
I love how you blame. Like, yeah, we've been having trouble with that guy.
Yeah. Oh, talent. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, coming back in. All right, and welcome back to Swing It and Ding It. Awesome to talk to a guy that's been doing it for a long time and is still involved in the game. Obviously knowing that he was coming on this week, I was tuning in a little bit extra and, just seeing that on the course stuff. He followed Rory and Spieth. I watched I watched while Rory wasn't doing well and I turned it off and he started taking off. But it's like the perspective those guys give is so unique because, in other sports, they're out there and they're watching, but the field is the same. The ice
Everything's the same.
Everything's the same. But these guys are 20 feet away from a left to right putt. There's so much more nuance in the game of golf, and having somebody that close really makes all the difference in the broadcast for me.
Oh yeah,
no
and
doubt.
He's enjoyable. I like how nonchalant he is, and he's like, if I don't know, I'm just gonna say I don't know. I feel like that realism is more of what we need and makes it so much more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. I'm a little more chalant. I'm definitely more chalant, but But someone else who comes off pretty nonchalant, but he is a killer, is the man that we talked about in Scotty Scheffler. And the one thing we didn't talk about is, his game, his putting, his ball striking, but just his demeanor. Like, he seems like a guy that is not going to get too up or too down. And if he is playing the way he's playing with that kind of attitude, the guys were saying it. Lowry said it. Wyndham Clark said it. Rory said it. Like, this guy is unstoppable when he's on. And Harry wins by 5 shots, shoots a 6 under 66, didn't miss a putt inside 15 feet. The guy was just nasty.
Well, yeah, and it's funny you say that about his demeanor because I was watching on Saturday where he got really upset with himself after missing a putt on the 11th hole, making a bogey. And it was uncharacteristic of Scotty Scheffler. And my wife and I are watching. We're like, wow, like that. I haven't seen that like ever. He didn't miss a putt after that. He went 10 under on those final 25 holes, the rest of that round, and then bogey free, as you mentioned, on Sunday. So maybe he should show a little of emotion every time now and then when things go poorly with the putter.
You know what he said?
Seemed to work.
He goes, I just stopped trying as hard. Sometimes you don't have to try as hard. I'm like,
yeah,
you stop trying.
Stop being perfect. Stop trying to be perfect.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it really is amazing. And he changed putters. Everybody was talking about it. He put the TaylorMade Spider Tour X mallet putter into his bag, and it appears to be working. But, man, I'll tell you, it's his 7th title, his 2nd Arnold Palmer. And he's one of these guys, Tiger won at certain places many times by the end of his career. Scotty's got that started. He's got 2 at the Arnold Palmer. He's got 2 in Phoenix. And I think there's another place where he's on his way to 2. I forget what it is, but he's starting one of those sort of type of careers. It's amazing.
Yeah. Silly. Yeah. It is some other good golf, like Wyndham Clark you got to put him in the conversation as a top 10 golfer out there. I mean, I watched the Full Swing episode with him. I haven't seen them all yet. I don't know why it's taken me so long, but and with him, with the mental coach, never really processed the loss of his mom, and it kind of tied him with Joel Damon, who's dealing with the same thing. But the difference that he has seen with this woman who is becoming his life coach seems to have made all the difference in the world. And he's pretty steady when he has it, and the weeks that he has it, he looks like he's really tough to beat. He had Shane Lowry, who played really well, kind of fell off a little bit. Zalatoris, who is hanging around, gets a T4, gets himself into the Open Championship. So there was some really good golf out there, But when someone wins by 5 shots, it kind of takes the
Scotty's not concerned about our drama.
We were watching both because the PGA Tour in Puerto Rico went into a playoff, and Eric Barnes is one of our friends, so I'm trying to switch back over. Brandon's like, put back on the Arnold Palmer. I'm like, Scotty, there's no chance that we know the ending. The script is written. I'm like, let me watch this playoff.
But then you had Rory. I got to go there because he was my guy last week.
Watch the blood pressure hair.
Full support. And, he was kind of scuffling around, and then all of a sudden catches fire, drove the green on the 10th hole, the first and only person to do so, I guess, and ended up making a birdie there, and went on a run and shot 30 on the back 9. And you're thinking like, wow, can you carry momentum over? I mean, sometimes it happens and sometimes not. But everybody, in the media was saying, man, tomorrow he's going to be on fire. And I'm like thinking he's either going to be on fire or he's going to car wreck, like a miserable car wreck. And it was the car wreck.
Literally
He was awful. Absolutely awful. He was +1 on the par 5s for the week. I mean, that's where you got to take advantage. That golf course is one of the hardest they play all year. That 6th hole, the one that wraps around the pond that DeChambeau went for the green, he was +4 on that hole alone and was in the water 3 times on that hole.
Yeah. I was like, oh, he's relatable to me now.
Yeah. No, relatable is you lay up. He's going for it every stinking time and putting it in the water. He averaged 2 over par on the front 9 alone. The front 9 was a lot harder for these guys than the back, but ended up with a T21.
Yeah. Any other standouts from the tournament? Anything else jump out at you, or stuff that maybe might carry over into the Players Championship?
Well, I'm thinking Lowry now 2 weeks in a row where he's kind of been in the fire, and I'm thinking he might run out of gas this week.
And the emotions too. I felt like he was almost borderline breakdown again last week. You just saw him
got off to a really bad start on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon with Scotty, and I think it just So I don't know. I think a lot of people will take him this week because he has played well at Sawgrass, but I don't know. The 3 straight weeks, it's a mental toll, and I'm gonna fade Lowry this week.
Okay.
Take away from last week though, I did say hey, maybe keep your eyes on JT. He started playing really well. Didn't finish as strong as I hoped he would, but
he's starting to look like the old JT, though, right?
Yeah, he's starting to feel like himself again.
Yeah.
And I saw a stat today on Morning Drive. He's never missed a cut ever.
Yep.
At the Players. So
I took him.
Yeah.
I took him in one and done.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I had to.
I took him in one and done.
All right.
And don't forget to our DraftKings contest. I expanded a little bit because it's the Players. So
I got to get in that.
Looked like about halfway full as of yesterday. So
yeah.
Then you might have to call me because I'm terrible at texting, but make sure that I get it this week.
I'll send a reminder out to everybody. I can just click on everybody. If it looks a little bit off, I try to send out a reminder, but sometimes it just fills up pretty quickly.
But you talked about, Danielle, the Puerto Rico Open, Bryce Garnett defeating your friend Eric Barnes in that 4-hole playoff.
Yeah.
Did you see the DP World Tour? I don't know if you watched any. I didn't watch any of it, but I know who won it, and it's a big deal. Matteo Manassero. That kid was a phenom in his teens. He won two tournaments when he was 17 years old on the DP World Tour back in 2010 and 2011. And then he got caught trying to chase distance and lost his golf swing, lost his game, actually put the clubs away for a while and gave it up, and is now back on tour and won for the first time in 11 years. Wow. So it was kind of a cool thing. We're talking about Anthony Kim, you know, that kind of story. This is a sort of a Anthony Kim kind of light, story, but it was pretty cool. And then I don't know. I watched Live. I was flipping back and forth. There was a playoff. And once I got Diana Ross out of my head, I was able to just process that Abraham Answer won the playoff, and he beat our boy BQ's boy was Paul Casey was in the playoff, and Cameron Smith. So it was actually somewhat entertaining.
Yeah. And AK shot a number, right? What did he shoot? A 16?
He went under par. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a low.
Don't call it a comeback.
Yeah.
But Bryce Garnett, with that win, he earned himself a spot in the Players this week. And I don't know when his last win was. Maybe not, 11 plus years like you were saying.
2018, 2019, somewhere around there.
Something like that. Yeah. And just cool. Like it seems like a very rootable, if that's a word, for a guy. Just like listening to him, seeing the emotions, talking about his caddy. B actually shared a story that his caddy who broke his foot, like I guess he went to like hop over like ropes or something like that, and you heard the foot break. So I guess like caddy went through a hard time, but just to see those two together in that relationship, that was kind of cool, seeing their emotions, and looking forward to seeing how that carries over this week into the Players.
He's from some Division II school in Missouri, some small time college.
How cool are those stories?
Yeah. And Bailey Tardy won her first tournament ever on the LPGA tour over in Asia. I was watching a lot of that. She's an American that, hopefully they start talking about.
Yeah.
And then the Corn Fairy, Taylor Dixon. Does that name ring a bell, Danielle?
I don't know him, no.
Beat Trey Winstead in a playoff in Chile.
I know, it was ridiculous. My app was like playoff.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second. Like we're watching the Arnold Palmer, and then we have playoffs all over the place.
Yeah.
Love it.
Big week.
Harry took a lot of golf.
I was going to say, Harry was watching it all.
It was a crap weekend. So
the weather sucked.
It was horrible. The wind finally seemed to die down, by the way.
A little bit.
It's nice out right now. But
Danielle,
do we have tea to spill for the folks?
Oh, we sure do. So you mentioned you mentioned earlier in this part of the pod that Jay Monahan, the PGA Tour commissioner, in the press conference today, he didn't really say much. He tried to make it about the fans. It's his and the players' commitment to improve the game and the product for the fans. But we can share one or two quotes that he said on the Saudi PIF. He said, "We recently met with Yes Sir, and negotiations are accelerating as we spend time together." And he added that they have a shared vision to quiet the noise and unlock golf's worldwide potential, but it's going to take time. So essentially, it's the same stuff we've been hearing. No progress, no updates at all on that. But as you guys said, you kind of assumed that was going to happen. within the presser. Also, what we mentioned a little bit earlier, we will see the return of Koff and Kiz. Smiley and Kevin Kisner are set to broadcast live from the 17th hole at TPC Sawgrass this week. We've been bantering about it in our group text, but that Friday happy hour, we saw Spieth and Homa come on with Smiley. I really like what they're doing with the broadcast. Yeah, I think it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, NBC has surpassed CBS in my view. They're doing more innovative things. I like a lot more of their personalities, and CBS needs to get going.
Yeah, they're drawing us in. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, wait a second. Like, they're pulling, they had Spieth and Homa right there. And it was cool to hear, like, their thoughts and them sitting, right on the side of the fairway, like, looking at the other guys and, commenting on Scotty's beard and just making it more enjoyable. Yeah. Like Robert was saying earlier, like, there is the older, traditional, like, 60-plus-year-old male fan, but then there's a younger generation who wants to see and hear and have a little bit more fun. So I think they're taking a cleaner, more, streamlined approach than Liv's taking. We just don't have that music yet.
Yeah, I think I know why CBS are the way they are. It's because of the Masters. And because they just feel that they need to keep it really buttoned up and old school, because that's what the Masters wants out of their broadcast partner. That's my theory on it. Because, anybody that goes, Gary McCord said something the Masters didn't like, he's out. You know what I mean? Like Jack Whitaker was kicked off of the Masters broadcast. Jack Whitaker, because they didn't like the way he referred to the patrons. He called them something else. He was out. So
they're probably trying to stick with being traditional, old
boring.
school.
Yeah, boring.
Boring. Yeah. And then, guys, we have to talk about Rory. We always talk about his comments of the week. Quote, "I'm all for less players and less tour cards and the best of the best." He was asked in the presser this week at the Players, hey, like, Rory, you're speaking your mind. And he just commented, like, why wouldn't I? So I was kind of like thinking about this today, like watching the press conference and kind of hearing what he was saying. Cause I'm like, he's talking each week and he's saying different things. Sometimes he's backpedaling on what he says and he's changing his mind. And I'm like, I don't know. Is he causing people to not like him as much because of the backpedaling and being outspoken? But also I feel like, he's up there and they're going to be asking him these questions. He's kind of the face of the tour. Like, what do you guys think about, Rory's being so outspoken, if you will, lately?
I like that he's outspoken, and I like that he's very, candid. Sometimes I don't think he should be. I mean, Tiger told us nothing, and there was a reason for that. But Rory's very candid. He's very open, which sometimes gets him in trouble. But I'm just wondering what the other tour players, like the rank and file tour players, from like 100 to 300, thought of what he said, and what Wyndham Clark echoed as well. Yeah. I mean, these guys are just like saying, hey, they just want the top 50 guys playing in the golf tournaments. And they're not going to play every week. So what are they going to do? Like, take 6 weeks off in between?
Well, Harry, it's great that you bring that up, because they didn't release the full podcast yet, but I saw a clip of Lucas Glover on PGA Tour XM radio saying, like, they asked him about Rory's comments, and he's like, 10 years ago, I was Rory. He's like, for the past like X amount of years, I wasn't Rory. I wasn't even in the top 100. I couldn't break that. Now, yes, I'm playing better. So, he had different viewpoints on it, but understands what it's like to be at the top and to be at the bottom.
He's seen it all, that guy. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm interested to hear, his take on that, and other players, like you said, that aren't within that top 50. And he just said, he's like, good for Rory. You know what I mean? He's a hustler. He's a grinder. He's one of his kind. He's always going to be at the top if he wants to be at the top. But I'm interested to hear what, Lucas said and the rest of the guys. But so really that's, one more T thing. You did mention Netflix Full Swing season 2, and Moose, I'm with you. I haven't really watched anything other than episode 1, but I have seen some clips of episodes that I want to see on social media. And yes, Keegan, I kind of felt for him. He woke up to a phone call from the Full Swing crew, and they were like, hey, we're on our way. And he was like, oh my God, I'm going to make the Ryder Cup team. He wakes his wife up. He's like, get ready. Camera crews are coming. He's like, they're sending the crews because I'm going to be selected for the Ryder Cup. It turns out, as everybody knows, he didn't get that spot. And quote, It was heartbreaking, devastating. It was just so tough. So I'm really excited to watch that episode. I think Keegan's just, you know, such a great, likable guy. So we'll see what that episode is like. But I saw those interviews and I was like, oh, poor guy.
There's a lot of texting activity on one of my text chains about Mrs. Bradley. So I'm anxious to see that episode.
So I guess she got ready when he told her to.
Yeah.
She's like, yep, all right, here we go.
Love it. Love it. Well, listen, guys, we talked about traveling to play golf, and we talked about it with Robert. Has he gone places? But we are proud to announce our official partnership with All Access GTE, our official golf travel partner. When you reach out to those guys, make sure you mention Swing It and Ding It. And what you want to do is embark on golf adventures like never before with the folks at All Access GTE. They have decades of experience in golf travel and can curate personal excursions just for you. From casual outings to luxurious getaways, they specialize in crafting unforgettable experiences tailored to your preferences. This isn't booking a couple hotels and rounds of golf. This is next level. Picture a buddy's trip to St. Andrews, strolling through the legendary, courses there and hitting up the pubs and knowing exactly where to go. Maybe taking a walk through Amen Corner on a completely tailored trip just for you. Elevate your golf experience with All Access GTE. Head to allaccessgte.com and unlock your golf experiences you've always dreamed of, and tell them that Swing It and Ding It sent you. Appreciate the guys over at All Access, and excited to launch our partnership with them and get some people out seeing the world of golf in the right way. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, amazing. Really cool partnership.
Absolutely. But for now, we head down. We stay in Florida for the
Florida Swing continues.
Florida Swing Players Championship, $25 million purse, $4.5 million to the winner. 144 players. The top 25 from last year's FedEx. You have, guess who? Scotty Scheffler defending. We talked about Cam Smith. He won here in 2022. JT won in 21. There was no players in 2020 due to COVID, and then Rory won it in 2019. Excited for this one, Har?
Oh yeah, I love this. I love this place. And it's $900 to play here during the peak season. I mean, I personally, I'm not paying $900, but that just goes to show you what this place is. TPC Sawgrass, Pete Dye, and Alice Dye. And Alice Dye had a lot to do with the island green. In fact, she really came up with the whole idea of that hole. Pete Dye was going to have that hole sort of a straightaway short par 3 with no water to speak of, and she came up with the whole idea to dig down and bulkhead the green back up, fill it in with water, and it's one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic hole in golf in the world. They've been playing here since 1982, but it's the 50th anniversary of the Players, which bounced around from Atlanta to several places, other places in Florida, until they found the home here at TPC Sawgrass. Par 72, 7,215 yards. 4 par 3s. Everybody knows about, the 17th, the 4 par 5s, the 2nd, the 9th, the 11th, and the 16th. Big drama on that 16th hole. It's one of the best finishes in golf, and the holes, and it's just like, Augusta National. That's what making this tournament so great to watch on television is every hole. The par 4 fourth is one of the tough par 4s on the front, 384. It's a shorty. Fairway wood or a hybrid or even long irons off the tee. They got a big bunker down the right, mounds on rough mounds on the left. Water guards, a 2-tiered sloped green, and then the par 4 fifth hole, which is 471, slight dogleg right with a big, large bunker down the right side and water right of that. It's the hardest hole on the front that these guys will face. So I'm going to just go right to the back. The 12th hole is a par 4, 358, drivable for some of these guys, and depending on the wind. With a big, large bunker and water down the left. The landing area short right will be a very popular spot, and they'll be, chipping up to a multi-tiered green. Then the 13th hole is a par 3. You start coming back off the shore, the wind direction, most likely at the players' backs. Par 3, 181, 3-tiered green that funnels all the balls down towards the front and left. So it's just like what Robert was saying. You don't fire at flags here. You fire at spots on the green and let the green take the ball right down. It's a great hole to watch. Par 4, 14th, toughest hole on the back, 481 yards, slight double dog leg with a big waist bunker down the left. If you get too far left, you can't see the green. Mounds of rough on the right that make it the second shot really tough to a very large green with plenty of slope. The 15th hole is the last breather hole on the back nine, 449, slight dog leg. Right, change of direction. They start going northwest now. So again, the wind change, which is something that's going to happen a lot on this golf course because they start changing direction all throughout the back nine. Big bunker down the right side. Then the approach has sand left of the green and 2 pot bunkers guard the right side. Then you take another direction turn and come back out the chute for the par 5, 16, 523 yards, slight dog leg left. This is that hole that Paul Casey, you remember, hit it in the fairway, but it was in a divot. You had the grass in front of him. Remember that? He was couldn't go for the green in 2 because everybody goes for the green in 2 here, especially down the stretch. But you got to watch out. Obviously, water on the right side. You hit the green on the left side. The slope will bring it right down to that pin for that Sunday pin. Par 3, 17th speaks for itself. Thank you, Alice Dye. And then you go to the tee on the 18th, and you got to navigate that demanding tee shot with water from tee to green down the left-hand side. You know, miss it into the right, you get in the pine straw and the trees. But then, the second shot, water is coming into play as well. Short right, there's mounds. It's a big characteristic of all Pete Dye, those mounds, and covered in rough. But what a great, great finish. And I can't wait to watch this tournament.
Eric, you do get the chance to play
on
17.
Yeah.
Are you on in one or are you putting in the drink?
There's a replica hole I've played of this in Myrtle Beach with my buddy Bob Wall at his place called World Tour. It's a golf course where all the holes are modeled after. You might have played it, Moose.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And I think it's the third hole on one of the nines. There's like 3 nines there. And it's replica of this. And I've hit the green every time and I actually made a birdie one time.
Go Hare. I played Sawgrass with Brennan and one of his friends couple years ago.
It's 135 yards.
Yeah, well, Harry, I put it in the drink.
Well, ceremonial.
I think the shot from the other team.
I was trying to make the other guys feel good,
Yeah, right. From the drop area is harder.
It's
like
I didn't go to the drop area. I just hit my second shot from there again.
Okay.
I said, I'm taking my mulligan on 17.
Oh yeah. Gotta get your
but what's cool is I actually found it. I switched golf bags the other day and we were going through and cleaning out the golf bag, and they give you a little plaque. It says like TP Sawgrass, and it says your name and it says the date of the first time you play the course.
Oh wow.
So it's kind of cool. When we came off of 18, they gave us these little bag tags with our names on it.
Oh, that's where the 900
well, for $900 at least you get a bag tag.
It's actually like a stainless steel, like nice one. I wonder if they still do it. I'll have to send you guys a picture of
it. You probably just got it because you're you. I don't think Moose and I are getting a bag tag. No, unless Ryan Gano hooks up the trip.
That's right.
Yeah. If we go with all access, you might get 2 bag tags.
Right. That's right. Well, we talked about last week about recent form and experience, and that holds true here. You have 10 of the last 12 winners here had a T4 or better in this calendar year. 14 of the last 15 had a 23rd or better at TPC Sawgrass. And the last 6 winners had a T22 or better in their very last start before this. So when we head towards seeing the line, let's talk about our friends over at Draftkings Sportsbook. The PGA Tour is in full swing, so get in on the action with Draftkings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner, official betting operator of the PGA Tour, This week, new customers can turn $5 into $150 instantly in bonus bets on any golf bet. When you look at the odds, it's interesting. You have Scheffler such short odds at 550. The person who always stands out to me is Xander. He's always in the top. He's the most confusing golfer to me. He's at 2,000, and I feel like people are forgetting about Victor Hovland, but he's at the top at 2,200. But download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code DING, D-I-N-G. New customers can bet $5 to get $150 instantly in bonus bets only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code DING. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 888-467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/T for deposit, wagering, and eligibility restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Fantastic.
Well done.
See you in the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
See in the line.
Victor Hovland, his outfit on Sunday is still burning my eyes. Did you see that?
I was talking to somebody the other day about, they were talking about Malbon and how they're kind of, the style. And I was like, you got to listen to my pod and listen to Harry. He's always on top of the outfits and everything.
Victor. Oh my. Yeah. Did you see it? It was like that highlighter, that pink highlighter color. You know, like the loud, pants.
I don't know that
and
I remember this.
A black shirt with the design of that shirt, that Lindbergh or whatever, on the
Yeah.
back in that pink. Oh my God.
Well,
go ahead.
You'll get to see even more of it, because I wanted to bring this up real quick. The Thursday pairings are pretty good. We have JT, Scotty, and Ricky.
Yeah.
We have Rory, Victor, and Jordan. So you can see some outfits there, Harry.
Yeah.
We have Tony, Willie Z, and Shane, and we have Hideki, Fitz, and Homa. So the Broncos, they're putting some good things together. The pairings are good. It's going to be some enjoyable golf.
PGA Tour Live guys be all over that. You can pick which one you want to watch. That's what's cool. I like doing that. Following certain ones around that you want to watch. But the way I see this, there's a couple guys I really like this week with numbers that are pretty good. Some are short numbers, but I like Minwoo Lee at that 5,000 number. I think he's ready for his first win. We talked about JT. He's never missed a cut here. He's won here. He has a T12 in 2 of his last 3, 2,200. Zalatoris, right? Is he gonna knock one down at 3,500? Another guy, Russell Henley, that's been hanging around at 4,000.
He's literally a bulldog, that guy.
Yep. And my boy EVR, he's got a T25, a T2, a T8. He was T25 last week at 11,000. I think it's worth a look. And Keegan, how about Keegan? He was second in strokes gained total stats here in the past 5 seasons, and you can get him at 10,000.
Wow!
And a couple matchups. I like Fleetwood, basically even money over Spieth, and Hideki. You got to put a little bit out at -135 over Cam Davis, but a lot of action this week in this tournament.
Yeah, I love the Minwoo Lee. He finished 6th last year. He was playing in that final group and really got a taste of what it's like. Tom Hoge has to go in your fantasy lineup at this golf course.
It's Moose's guy. Yeah.
Okay, Hoagie's the guy here. I'm taking him over Cole. Eric Cole's dead to me. I'm taking Tom Hoge -130 over him. Sungjae Im -120 over Tom Kim. I think that's a rout. Willie Z -120 over Wyndham Clark in a matchup. As far as just looking at winners, there's never been a repeat winner here. So, does Scotty change that? Never been a repeat winner at the Players.
Wow.
The highest finish for a winner of the previous year, T5. Okay.
Tiger didn't I thought Tiger.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what?
Tiger's won here twice. He didn't go back to back.
Back to back.
Jack has won it 3 times. He didn't go back to back. Scotty's trying to go back to back. There's 5 players that have won it twice. Steve Elkington, my guy. Freddie Couples, another one of my guys. Davis Love III, Hal Sutton, and Tiger Woods. Jack won it 3 times.
Wow.
So I love
better than most, Harry. Better than most.
Better than most.
Better than most.
Scotty set him up himself up pretty good to maybe see that, back to back. If he keeps that, what does he have? The new putter, the
Tiger, or it's a tailor-made Spider.
I think there's been a lot of sales.
When you mentioned that, I was like,
no doubt.
Hey, Spider, bring my drink over here, Spider. Yeah,
I'm taking Max Homa in a top 20 at +125. Minwoo top 20 +220. Tommy Fleetwood's an interesting one. +180 in the top 20. His bounce back after missing a cut is incredible. If you go back and look at it, the next week he's usually in the top 10, and he's competed he's had a 2nd and a 3rd coming off a missed cut recently. So watch out for that, because he was awful. He was all over the place on that Friday down at the Arnold Palmer. Alex Noren is another guy that plays here really tough. +200 in a top 30. Denny McCarthy, top 30 plus 210. And I'm taking my one and done, Hideki Matsuyama.
I like it.
I don't think he's missed a shot in 6 months.
I like it. All right, Danielle, you got to get your lineup in.
Yes,
harass me. Everyone else, make sure, if you're listening, make sure you get it in. Big thank you to Robert Damron for hopping on. Make sure you follow him on the socials, Robert D. Damron, and check him out on PGA Tour Live. Thanks again to our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't forget to use that code DING. And our new partnership with All Access GTE, the only way to travel in style to your golf destinations. We will be back next week to recap the Players Championship. Hopefully everybody gets out there and can swing it and ding it a little bit this weekend because the weather is breaking in the Northeast. I know I'm getting out. I think it's Thursday. We'll see. See you then.